Well, hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my bread series part 2. Today I'm not making sourdough because my starter isn't fully ready yet. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been kind of updating my whole sourdough starter situation. I ended up having to put it in my laundry room so it can be warm and it can rise how it's supposed to. So hopefully next week's video I can make some sourdough and that'll be ready enough to make sourdough. But today we're making some copycat Auntie Anne's pretzels. I've made these quite a bit and they are way easier than I expected them to be. I got them from a Pinterest recipe and they are one of our favorites. I made them for like Super Bowl parties, just because, family events, different things like that. So they only take an hour to prepare and then probably an hour or so to bake. So pretty quick for a bread and some pretzels, but these taste exactly like Auntie Anne's pretzels. My husband loves them. Everybody that I have given them to loves them. So we're gonna go ahead and get into making some pretzels. To start off, we need to activate our yeast, so you're going to need a large microwave-safe bowl, some active dry yeast, not the rapid rise kind, some milk, I'm using 2%, and sugar. This recipe calls for brown sugar, so that's what we're going to use. We're going to start by measuring 2 cups of milk into our microwave-safe bowl. I like to use this Pyrex dish because I can mix everything together in here. But we are going to heat up our milk for about 1.5 minutes or until it's lukewarm. If your milk is too hot, it will kill your yeast, but if it's not warm enough, it won't activate your yeast. So 1.5 minutes is usually the sweet spot for me. You can stick your finger in it, and if you can hold it in there comfortably, it is a good temperature, but obviously you can tell if it's too hot or if it's too cold. Just adjust according to your microwave. Next, we are going to activate our yeast. So we are going to add in our yeast and our sugar to our warm milk. And like I said before, yeast needs sugar to activate, and we are going to use 1 tablespoon of our brown sugar out of the 6 tablespoons that the recipe calls for. Pack it a little bit and add it to the milk. After you add your sugar, we're going to add in our active dry yeast, and you will need 1.5 tablespoons. Once that is added, you will mix it all together until it is well combined, and we will let it set for 10 minutes to let it activate, and it should look really bubbly and frothy on the top. While that is activating, I will usually go ahead and measure out my flour. You will need 5 to 5.5 cups for this recipe, just depending on how your dough looks. Next, we will combine all of our ingredients into our stand mixer or a large bowl, whatever you have on hand. And I'm adding my yeast mixture, and then I will add my remaining tablespoons of brown sugar. And once these are added, I will add 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Then you will want to slowly add in your flour, usually a cup or 2 at a time. Mix a little bit, then add a little bit more. And I'm using my dough hook attachment. I use this for the whole process. You definitely could start out with the paddle attachment. I just do not want to do the extra dishes, so I went ahead and used my dough hook for the whole process. Once all of your flour is added and your dough forms a ball, you're going to want to knead for 10 minutes either with your stand mixer or by hand. Once your dough is nice and kneaded, you are going to want to grease a bowl. I am using olive oil here, And I usually don't turn it, I just kind of stick it in there. And once this is done, I am also going to grease my saran wrap that I'm putting over the top, just so nothing sticks. And we are going to let this rise for 1 hour in a warm place. Sorry I had to voice over a lot of that last part. My dad ended up coming over, so I just went ahead and threw it all together so I could keep things moving. But I put it in a greased bowl and we're gonna let it rise for an hour. I have to go and get groceries, so I'll probably start making them once I get back, but you want it to double in size, so keep it somewhere warm in your kitchen. Usually I'll just turn on my oven and place it right next to it, and that usually does the trick, since if you follow my sourdough journey, you know that my kitchen is not very warm, so bread needs all the help it can get in our kitchen. But once this rises for an hour, then it will be ready to roll out and shape and bake. Our dough has doubled in size, and I am getting ready to split this up, and I will show you guys that. But before we do that, you will need to make your water and baking soda mixture. So you'll just take 3 cups of warm water and put it in a shallow, wide pan, just because if you make whole pretzels, it's easier to dunk them in here. But I am gonna split this up and show you guys that whole process. Basically, you'll just split them up into 12 to 14 little dough balls, roll them out really thin as you can get them, and either cut them into little pretzel bite pieces or fold them into a pretzel shape. But I'll do a little voiceover and show you that whole process. You are going to want to punch down your dough a few times, and then we are going to make 12 to 14 little dough balls, and these will be what you will roll out to either make your pretzel bites or your whole pretzels. Once you have made your dough balls, you're going to want to take one out and begin to roll it into a rope. And you are going to want to roll it as thin as you can make it, because the dough will puff back up when you bake it. Once you have your rope as skinny as you can get it, you will dunk it into your baking soda and water mixture, and then fold it into your pretzel shape and stick it onto a greased baking sheet, or either one with parchment paper or a baking mat so it doesn't stick. It is the same process for the pretzel bites. You'll roll out your rope, dunk it in your baking soda and water, and then cut them into bite-sized pieces before you put them on the baking sheet, and then you can also sprinkle these with coarse salt as well. For the large pretzels as well as the pretzel bites, you'll want to bake them for 6 to 10 minutes at 450 degrees. The sweet spot for my oven is 7 minutes, but cooking times will vary. You can customize these pretzels any way you like them. My favorite is with melted butter and coarse salt, but I did do a cinnamon sugar pretzel today and it was super good. You could do everything but the bagel seasoning, either with some cheese sauce or some cream cheese. Anything that you like. Well, today's video did not go at all how I had planned. The day was a lot busier than I thought. People were coming and going and we were just super busy. So I apologize if a lot of this video is a voiceover, but we made them. We got it done and they are so good. They come out so good every single time. I overbaked like the first batch or two. I feel like 7 minutes is like the sweet spot with making these, for my oven at least. I feel like every oven that you cook in is different, and we have a gas oven too, so that kind of will vary a little bit with cooking times and all of that. But these are the whole pretzels that I made. I made one little cinnamon sugar one. It is super good. The rest I just made with the coarse sea salt, and then I made the pretzel bites. These are what I usually make. I don't usually make the big pretzels because they just get kind of really chunky and don't cook all the way in the middle. That's why you have to roll the rope really, really thin for it to work. But the pretzel bites are kind of the OG. Super, super good. I put melted butter on top of them. They're really good if you heat them back up in the air fryer, because this recipe makes a lot. But I think that is all that I have for today's video. I will link this recipe down below for you guys. I found it on Pinterest. It is not my own, but it has been very good to me. I have made this multiple times, like I said before, and it always turns out really, really good. But thank you guys for joining me for my part 2 of my bread series of making Auntie Anne's copycat pretzels. So I will see you on Friday for my regular video, and stay tuned for next Monday for another bread video that is hopefully going to be my sourdough video. So I'll leave all my social media linked down below if you want some updates on my sourdough. I've been posting on my story about all of that, my trials and tribulations, but I think that is all that I have for you guys. So I will see you in the next one. Bye guys. Bye.